Welcome back to this month's Roundtable, your all-in-one comprehensive view of what's happening across the real estate industry, straight from some of the industry's earliest technology adopters and foremost experts in technology, marketing, brokerage, government policy, capital, construction, and cybersecurity. This is a three-part show. Part one, introductions. What's new for each of our Roundtable hosts on this month's call, this month's show. Part two, sector focus. We're going to unpack and dive deep into the past month's biggest news and trends in the industry. And part three, what does that mean for you, your business, and what you can do for the next 30 days to outpace and outgrow your competition. I'm Andreas, Senie, founder of CRECollaborative, brokerage owner, and managing director for KW Commercial here in Connecticut. Technology growth strategist for both nonprofit and for-profit sectors. And joining me this month is none other than Dan Wagner, Senior VP Government Relations at the Inland Real Estate Group companies, and newly soon to be appointed to the Dan.
So I'm going to be taking over as the chairperson of the Illinois Chamber of Commerce. Dun, dun, dun.
They're lucky to have you. Welcome back. Always a pleasure to have you and Inland on the call. Also joining us this month, Professor Darren Hayes, CEO of Code Detectives and one of the top 10 forensic cybersecurity specialists nationwide. And as usual, Saul, Darren, nice to see you. Looking great here stateside. How are you?
Good, thank you. Great to be here.
Happy. As always, Saul Klein will be back to join us later. And Chris Abel, Anna Maria, and couldn't join us today. Oh, there's Anna Maria. Come on, now you're making me a liar. Anna Maria is here. Shining and ready to go. SVP, Director of Business Development, Inland Green Capital. All things green, getting green with CPAs. Not joining us this month is going to be Chris Abel. And I dare say I'm not going to say Rebecca because she might pop in. So, that being said, Dan, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Tell us what's the latest and greatest.
Well, obviously, one of the things that we have to acknowledge today is June 6th, which is the 80th anniversary of D-Day. And that momentous occasion still has rippling effects throughout our world and the United States of real estate, because all those GIs came back after winning the war and redid all of the way America is able to be looked at in the suburbs, and all that good stuff got created. So just a hats off or tip of the hat to all of our veterans today, and God bless our veterans. So I wanted to highlight that. But in regards to the wild world of real estate, the 1031 like-kind exchange is the thing that I am still educating the people on. I'm heading out to Manhattan Beach on Monday. I'll be there for a week talking to various leaders in the real estate and financial services markets about why we need to be educating our elected officials about how important the 1031 is. Because President Biden, in his budget, he put it in again to cap it at $500,000, to double capital gains, and to get rid of stepped-up basis. And so we're out there trying to educate people, to let them know that's not a good idea, and to make sure that people can talk to their members of Congress. Now, nothing's going to happen today. It just is what happens after the election. Because right now, gridlock in Washington is gridlock. And what we're seeing is that the election this November is going to be very important to see who wins. And no matter if it's Democrats, Republicans, who if one party rules in any of those sectors, they can do reconciliation, which is just one vote in the Senate. You don't need to have 60 votes, because a reconciliation you can pass by one vote. So that's where we have to educate the Democrats and Republicans alike to let them know why it's so important. So
the ongoing campaign of awareness on the 1031 exchange, TST products, the 1031 exchange, and I'm coining your phrase, the 401k of commercial real estate.
Yes.
It's there to make things move. And as far as generational wealth, it is the lubrication that for the gears that allows investment, that allows redevelopment. Saul Klein is back joining us. Knew he was showing back up. Realtor Emeritus, data advocate, and MLS president, CEO of the MLS in San Diego. Saul, nice to see you as well. we're just talking 1031 exchanges, awareness and education. I was actually with a group of about 20 brokers today talking about 1031 exchanges. Explaining how when you talk to your clients, potential clients, and you explain that it's okay that you don't want to own real estate. Why don't you move that money, that capital gain, and invest in a 1031 exchange DST? Still collect annually, still sell it, still roll it. And eyes were wide open. People still don't know. So always a big topic to work through. Saul, nice to see you as always. And if you're
it's great to be here. And Dan, I love it that you promote 1031 tax deferred exchanges so passionately. Really, it's building estates with pre-tax dollars. It's something everybody should learn about. It's just a great tool, and not necessarily for the big guys, although they benefit from it, but for moms and pops and people that are trying to build their own wealth and generational wealth. What a great tool, and it'd be a sin if we lost it.
Well, and we won't, because we're all going to show up and show out and make sure that we tell our congressmen and anyone and everyone who will listen, actually. Speaking of telling anyone and everyone who will listen, Anna Maria, nice to have you back with us for CPACE. All I'm seeing everywhere and anywhere is talks of carbon credits, solar. What can I do? How do I do better? Second only to Darren, but I'll get to you in a second, Darren. Anna Maria, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
I mean, this sustainability industry is just exploding at this time. New technologies that keep emerging, just all kinds of things that we have to keep our eyes on, because sometimes some of the benefits that we see coming through governmental authorities tends to have restrictions and regulations along with it. And so to have the appropriate people at your side who know how to navigate those rules and regs and you know, that kind of street upon which the race is happening, you know, we really need to be on top of things. And keeping on top of things, next week I'll be traveling to Nashville for our annual Pace Nation Summit. And that's one of the primary industry events that most of us attend, as well as there's going to be the CPACE Alliance meeting happening right in our own backyard here in Chicago in September. And so these are two major events that kind of define what's going on in the industry, what's coming next, what are people doing that's new and innovative, because even the financing tool itself has been evolving over time. And things that it wasn't able to do before are now beginning to be done, such as some programs, some states are actually looking at variable rates instead of that. You know, we always tout commercial property assessed clean energy financing as up to 100% fixed rate long-term financing. And now, due to the high interest rates and the volatility in the market, people are beginning to look at a variable type option. And so we're still at the beginning of that and trying to take a look at it and see how that's going to work and if it's really going to be cost effective, you know, but that's one of the new things happening in our industry. And so, you know, there's a lot going on. Today, for example, I was reading that the European Central Bank has reduced its rates to, I think it was 3.75, if I'm not mistaken. And that's...
Well, we do have a global audience. Hold on. That 3.75 is going to move more money away from here and over there. Let's go.
Potentially so. Yeah, but we've got another Fed meeting coming up soon. And so, you know, who knows what's going to happen there.
Capital is moving, you're saying.
Yes. Yes, it is.
We love
it definitely is. And then I am here also to promote Rebecca and her Carlson and her marketing group, because I was just at an event where it was the Northern Illinois Commercial Association of Realtors, and she was doing one of the roundtables. And I actually sat at her roundtable just to get a rounder understanding of how marketing, from her perspective is, executed.
Evolving. Yeah.
And she had some great tips. And so, first and foremost, just consider brand, and Dan and I talk about the inland brand all the time, how we are most fortunate to be able to be associated with a company that has a strong brand, really embodying that integrity and expertise and innovation. And so branding, whether personal or company, so important. And then she asks us to consider the W's. Who needs to hear from you? What should they be seeing about you and from you? When are they looking? Where are they looking? Why are they working with you, and how can you improve? And so lots to be learned. She talked about primary, secondary, and tertiary audiences, and how you need to have a goal and have consistent scheduling of your message, and have a message 1, 2, and 3 that you just roll on out there all the time. And to have that voice and flow on various key days of the week. So nobody wants to work on Friday. So don't send out a message on a Friday, but very heavy days are Monday, and Tuesday and Thursday come next. And Wednesday captures a certain audience. So anything you need to know about marketing, Carlson integrated.
Marketing mavens. Right?
Yes.
It's a marketing maven. Well,
she and her 16-woman team.
Yes, a woman-owned business with 16 women working there.
Yes.
So Becca, we're sorry you couldn't be here today. I know you're tuning in. Don't forget to share, rate, and review us. It really does help. That goes for our listeners too. But what I'm really hearing as we circle to Darren is having that qualified advisor, having someone to guide you through these rules and regulations. And yes, Inland's brand is incredibly powerful. Everybody knows who and what Inland is. Look at this call. Look behind Dan. Look at your background. I mean, it's there, and it's ever present. But how do you know and verify that you are in fact in Inland and things are going the way they're supposed to going when we're talking tech? Darren, how are things in the cybersecurity world?
I think it's going to be a very interesting year because we have quite a number of elections going on globally. Just saw the election in Mexico, and I was surprised by a statistic about how many people were actually assassinated who were running for office during that election. But there's going to be a lot.
Should invest in the U.S. Go on.
Yeah, but there's a lot of misinformation. Then the warnings are already out about the U.S. election, and misinformation is already spreading across social media. But also there's a couple of major events which are going on, which have already been targeted by Russia in terms of propaganda. So if you've been reading about the Olympics in Paris coming up next month, I believe, the end of next month, Russia has been fear-mongering and talking about threats to the Olympics because their athletes can't perform under the Russian flag because of the IOC rules. But also we've got the Euros, football or soccer, which is a big event across Europe. So there's talk of threats and cyber attacks associated with that. So lots and lots going on. AI is also coming up in the news, and we could talk about that more in depth. But there's a new tool that came out associated with Microsoft's AI Copilot called Recall, and it's like a security disaster for Microsoft. Somebody has already been able to pull down personal data, hack this new tool. This tool is called Total Recall, interestingly, and so that's going on as well. We just had the 35th anniversary of Tiananmen Square, and I was combing through social media, looking at a lot of misinformation about, how these protesters were attacking the Chinese government and Chinese army and that kind of thing. So lots of misinformation going on there. I don't know whether you saw also, they were talking about a covert Israeli online campaign trying to influence American lawmakers. That came out in the news today. So lots and lots of interesting things happening in the cyber world. Of course, we have
the majority of it being misinformation, right? Misinformation and impersonation. It seems like we just all need to get back together in a room and have our broker luncheons to do business.
Yes. I think that we don't see probably even half of what's going on. I mean, Iran has major cyber capabilities. They continually hack, they continually spread misinformation about the war in Israel and about what's going on in Yemen, for example. So everybody's very busy in terms of misinformation, cyber attacks, and the elections are just another vector of these attacks. Big year coming up.
Well, it is a big year. There was a lot of uncertainty, but there's still these great pockets of opportunity to invest, to lease. Businesses have to continue to move, get bigger, get smaller, right? We're still doing business. I mean, one of the biggest holders of information is the MLS, and they're not going to stop moving for anything. Saul, I mean, you're there working out of San Diego, the largest in the country as far as an MLS brokerage. What's going on there? Relates to in-person.
Well, we're not quite the largest, but we're a good sized MLS. We've got about 12,000 members, and so everybody's gearing up for first the June 18th deadline for either accepting or rejecting the NAR settlement in the Sitzer, Burnett, and Merrill case, Illinois and Missouri. And that's a big deal. As a matter of fact, I had a board of directors meeting today, and the board of directors gave me approval to sign the agreement that says we're going to conform to the requirements, the practice requirements of the settlement. And so that's a big deal. But people are still going to list and sell real estate. The offer of compensations being removed from the MLS, but MLS brings a lot more value. It's the place you go to find out what's available. It's the place you go. It's policed, right? We self-police it and police it. It's the place you go to find out what's sold. Appraisers use it. It's very valuable beyond the offer of compensation. And the news that we saw this week, Northwest MLS, which is a large MLS in Western Washington, about 33,000 members, not a Realtor MLS. And know that not all MLSs are Realtor MLSs. Those that are follow NAR's guidelines or handbook around being an MLS, but Northwest MLS is a broker-owned MLS, and it has chosen not to be part of the settlement. Now, if it wanted to join the settlement, it would have to pay $100 a head, and that's $3.3 million. But it elected to say, you know what, we think what we're doing is right. We think that the DOJ has got it all messed up, even though the DOJ is not a party to this settlement agreement because it's civil litigation. But they've come out strong and have declared that they're not going to be part of the settlement. And it'll be interesting to see where that takes us. But if you look at their model, it sure makes a lot of sense. It looks like they've been leading the way all along. And so in the real estate industry, we're excited about that. And Darren, you mentioned Microsoft. And one of the things that we're dealing with and seeing is Bing Real Estate, where Microsoft and its AI seems to be out there capturing data from the MLS, might even be getting that data from a couple of big brokers. And if that's where it's coming from, those brokers, at least in my mind, could be in violation of data licensing agreements. And something that people have to keep in mind is that the data, just because it's on the internet, doesn't mean everybody can use it. Doesn't mean you can just take it and use it for your own purposes. And people are building billion-dollar businesses around the data that comes out of MLSs. So we're going to figure out ways to start charging people based on consumption of the data. So if a broker puts up MLS data on their website and they only get, let's say, 1,000 views a month, they'll pay one thing. But if they put it up on some big national website and get 50,000 views a month, maybe they should pay more for that data.
So you mean like a social media influencer gets paid for speaking? We should get paid for inputting our data, which is a conversation we've had over and over. Brokers are at the forefront with the most relevant and accurate data. And it's just copied and pasted and moved and shifted. Is that what you're saying? Consumption based?
Yeah. So, I mean, everywhere else, aren't you paid for your content on the internet? You've got
I'm all for
content. You put it. So shouldn't people who use MLS content have to pay for that? And if you're a broker and you're producing and you're providing that content to the MLS, then of course you should get some break on that. But there are a lot of big players out there that don't provide a whole lot to the equation, and yet they utilize that data to build billion-dollar businesses, and that's got to stop.
Well, the commercial industry is opaque on purpose, some would say. Some owners, right? It's historically. I know Inland collects data. We all collect data. We have internal data, external data sources. So how do you stop that copy and paste?
Well, one of the things you can do is if somebody actually comes to you for a data license agreement, in other words, they do this legitimately and legally, then you have the right to insist in any way you can track this technologically, and we think we've got ways to do it, that you can charge them based on the consumption of that data. Now, of course, there are going to be people that still steal the data, right? And if you can catch them, then you can figure out how you can remedy that, or what your recourse might be. But I'm talking about the people who legitimately get the data, but then use it beyond the license for which they originally obtained the data. That happens.
The 120-page terms of service that nobody reads, or user by user, or we're talking at a corporate level only?
Well, so from our perspective, we're talking about a data license agreement that might be 10 pages long. And if you want to use that data to create derivative works, you have to tell us what you want to use it for. And then we're going to charge you based on how much you use it, right? How much money a number of different ways to go about this. Now, this is not a new idea, but we're starting to gain the capability technologically to be able to track that consumption. And the next step is charging based on that.
Well, so the reason I'm being obtuse on purpose is that I recall, as the book, right? The book came online, it was written, then it was everywhere, then it was to the public, Realtor Information Network, right? Then brokers wanted it on their website. Then brokers had their own pocket listings only on their website. And commercially, we followed the same trajectory, the same path. Now we're all kind of starting to hold it all close to the vest again. Difference being, we have 29 portals that are not interconnected, like the MLSs, that are of any quality to get listing data. And then we have analytical tools that are not interconnected. And we just have all these silos. And it seems like, based on what you're saying, that's just going to continue to grow, as maybe it should, because that data is so valuable. How else? We shouldn't just share it openly.
Well, and we have data licensing, right? And there's often a lot of confusion between data feeds and data licensing, data consumption. And so we've got something that's referred to as IDX, and it's a misused term, but it has to do with brokers sharing listing information for advertising purposes. And so if you're a broker and you join a multiple listing service, you have the right to gain that data. There might be some cost to it. But you have the right to get that data back to put on your own website. And we have a license agreement for that. But how do we charge for it? Pretty much it's one size fits all. And so everybody's become a broker. Zillow's a broker, right? All the big companies are, Redfin is a broker, and these are big brokerages that make lots of money. Now, that doesn't mean they profit, but they make lots of money off of the use of the data. And should they pay the same for that data license as, say, a 3-agent mom and pop real estate brokerage firm? Or should there be, a better way to measure the benefit of the data and charge people accordingly? And we think that there is, and it'll take a while to shake out, but I think that might be the next step, Andreas.
It's an incredible time to be in real estate. As I've said, the technology is there to go get as much information as I want. I can go get as much business as I can handle if I'm willing to work for it, because I can find the right information about the right property, the right end user, internally, externally. There's so many platforms out there. So I'm always curious to see this evolve.
Saul, I just want to highlight, thank you for your board to support NAR's settlement. And there's, no matter what anybody says, there's not a more powerful organization than the National Association of Realtors. And Shannon McGann, that does their charge of all their lobbying, is a rock star. Among also every FPC, every federal political coordinator that's out there in their right in the grassroots, making sure to promote and promulgate the Realtor message at the local, state, national level. It's a really big deal. So God bless you for supporting the Realtors.
Absolutely. Well, and that goes back, and thank you, Dan. That actually goes back to those qualified advisors, qualified consultants. NAR has a toolbox. They promote tools that they believe in, data feeds they believe in, licensing agreements they think are fair. It's all there. CRECo's on it. Many others are on it. Those 29 listing portals I spoke about, -2 are on, -10 are on it. They're out there doing it. Realtor Property Resources, collecting data. It has AI scripts to generate summaries. It's got listings. It's got tax data. There's so many ways to repackage this stuff. I mean, even Anna Maria on the CPage side, we've got Landgate out there showing us exactly what our properties can generate, whether it's farmland in Idaho or Manhattan, right? The kilowatts, the money, the actual earnings potential is right there in these systems. Like I said, the data is there. It's a matter of going to get the business with the right data, with the trusted resource, which is a question. That's a branding question and a track record question.
Well, the other thing I wanted to throw out to you, Andreas, is that Anna Maria and I were honored to go to see Joe Cosenza, another one of our founders at Inland, be honored at Connect CRE, where he got the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I talked to Joe and said that we're going to be on this, the show today. And he told me I should highlight something that is very interesting in regards to commercial real estate. He said that 2 years ago, he was going to make an offer on a big apartment complex. I won't tell you where it is or the name of it, but he said 2 years ago, if he bought it, it was going to be $192,500,000. But today, actually this week, he signed it for $168 million. So the value, if you have the cash, the value, you can get some really good deals right now because the interest rates have just really stopped people from being able to go finance. But if you have the cash to be able to get it, then you're able to get some pretty amazing deals. So that's one interesting point.
Inland is always buying.
Yes.
They do have the cash. So
Yeah.
it's their brand. I mean, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
Like at ICSC, it's everywhere.
So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. And then with, we're talking about the 1031 being kind of an economic development tool. I will highlight, Anna Maria, the PACE bond program. I know you were in a small town in Kendall County, which was Yorkville. And, the old buildings in any downtown area just all call out for CPACE funding to be able to redo their windows and everything else. But I know that you had an experience talking to people out in kind of a rural area, which you might not necessarily think of CPACE in a rural area, but you did.
No, this is true. And it was a great audience. They were very engaged in hearing something new that they didn't know about before. And we're very proud, because we do have a hand in the Illinois program administration of CPACE through a 501c3 actual nonprofit organization that we helped found and seed and provide subcontracting services to. and that is the Illinois Energy Conservation Authority, or IECA PACE, as it's known here. And we've taken on our 16th county now in central Illinois. So we had Champaign and Peoria counties, and now Bloomington Normal is covered by McLean County. So we're very proud to announce that onboarding. And again, these are counties that have great urban areas, but lots of agricultural and small towns, that are within the certain MSA that would qualify them, to easily obtain the financing. But it can be so accretive to them in so many different ways, bringing aging building stock up to date and fully improved so that energy savings and consumption are the energy usage is reduced, therefore creating more savings. And the same thing with consumption. It only goes to benefit the environment. And then helping communities meet those green goals. We hear about the greening of America and all of these new programs, but it doesn't do much good if they can't be used and easily utilized across the board. You have to be able to implement these tools in order to get the climate result that we want to see.
Well, and so again, utilizing tools, the right people in the right places, and finding those people. I mean, LinkedIn is now done with verified professionals. We have our association. You go to NAR, you expect a certain level of professionalism, right? CCIM, SIOR, all of it, and then misinformation is sitting there as well.
IREM, all the groups are amazing, and it's a big deal. I know, Darren, you highlighted how the different places are around the world are attacking us. I think it's super important to have people like you that's out there to help save us too, because the data that Saul has, and I mean, it all could be put to negative use. And I just want to say thank you for what you've taught me in this process too. You're good at this.
Oh, it is a savior. Aaron, go ahead.
It's unfortunately, AI is just making it a lot easier for people to create fake videos. We have this problem now where we have our corporate executives, people making up fake videos appealing to shareholders or investors, and there's all those scams that are arising with that. There was actually just a case that was announced. The FBI caught this guy, Yun Wan, who had made 99 million from VPNs across 200 countries around the world. And as part of this scam, they basically, when they arrested him, they found that he had a Ferraris, BMWs, Rolls Royces, lots and lots of cryptocurrency wallets. As part of the indictment, they mentioned how he had facilitated foreign scammers to claim $6 billion in COVID aid funding from the U.S. government. So it's just pretty staggering. I mean, what this guy did with his what's called a botnet is he put malware on thousands and thousands of computers across the world, so that if you want to perpetrate an attack, you can basically pick, a U.S. computer that you'll proxy through and carry out your nefarious activities, such as claiming COVID funds. And it's a huge problem today. And again, AI makes it very easy to create videos, voice, photos very, very easily to perpetrate these types of crimes.
Which means we have to get back in person to do our deals at our major conference events, which I love. I like the in-person because we've got a whole generation that's afraid to get on the phone let alone meet in person. So we're really going to do some deals here, which is
Yes.
exciting.
Yeah.
It is scary though. AI is scary. The more I see, the more I use it, and I am using it more often. I've got it in my inbox. I've got it in different places, but I am constantly fact checking it or educating it, I should say. I still believe strongly that it is a day one intern, and if you would not trust a day one intern to do it, don't trust AI to do it. At least not with a lot of oversight.
Yeah, yeah. And I the other thing as well, I just saw, I didn't get to read the article, but it just came out about, I think it was Intel and NVIDIA being investigated for monopoly on AI chips and AI technologies. So, some interesting things happen. A lot of lawsuits it's generating with the use of AI. Who actually owns this information? Can you just pass on this information from other sources and claim it as your own? It's also a legal nightmare.
Well, regulations take forever to keep up, and that was before AI showed up.
Yeah.
I mean, and Saul, I don't know if this is a fair question or not. Speaking of MLS data, is the MLS data then going to be licensed to the AI tools, Perplexity, ChatGPT, Charlie AI, whichever tool? And then what happens? And who polices that?
Yeah, so I think that's already begun. I'm not afraid of AI at all. I'm an advocate for it. Like any type of technology, you have to be careful and watch what you're doing. But I think it will bring a lot more good than evil to us. And what we're looking at, one of the things we're seeing now is AI-driven conversations around real estate. So all of the big players, lots of money is going into AI-driven conversations. And I used to say, NAR used to say, the purpose of the Realtors Information Network is to keep the realtor in the center of the transaction. I changed that myself, and around 2000, I said, I don't think being in the center of the transaction is the name of the game anymore. I think if you're a residential realtor or a realtor in general, you have to keep yourself in the center of the conversation. And so now there's lots of conversations taking place. You got to figure out how you're going to participate. Know that the big money is going into AI. 3 terms I heard the other day was clarity, brevity, relevance. When we're talking about this data, clarity, brevity, and relevance. And AI will continue to play a bigger and bigger part, in part because of the money that's behind it. And yeah, human beings will be around for a long time. And that doesn't mean that the buggy whip manufacturers didn't go out of business, and the anvil makers didn't go out of business. And so we take too lightly sometimes, I think, the idea that a human being will always be needed. I think we have to be cautious. We have to realize that there are things that AI can do. And as a matter of fact, we're going to have labor shortages around the world. And so maybe we need some of this AI to help us with the labor shortages that are to come. So you're right, Andreas, a lot of AI around, lots of information, including MLS information. And the question is, how do you integrate that into your business so you can make more money and stay out of trouble?
So I love how positive you are, because I think it's terrific. And another example of technology, Andreas, is this program. I mean, when we started, where are we at now? I mean, what's the show?
We are, so thank you for the plug.
In what countries are we
No, it's a plug at this point. We are across every continent. We have over 3,000 tune-ins and downloads every month, which is incredible. This started as a small gathering, and I didn't know where it would go. And hats off to Mr. Mendoza, the producer behind the scenes, making us all look good. It took me years to actually listen to him, to buy the right stuff to make me look better. The rest of my co-hosts look good naturally. It took me some effort. But this show has grown, and it started as a radio. I was a guest on a radio show. Then I was on LinkedIn, and then it became this growing mushrooming cloud. That is, in fact, a social media influencer. It's a micro influencer because we're under 5,000 or 10,000. But as a podcast, if I use that term, we're in the top 5%. As a live stream event across multiple channels, we're in the top 20%. It is truly incredible. Not to mention, Darren, this is the one time you're in the country. We're all over the U.S. doing this together, as if we're sitting around a table, which is why it's the round table. Round of topics, round of knowledge, out to every continent in real time. It's incredible. Technology is incredible.
And this is a roundtable, and you are our king author, Andreas.
Thank you for that.
King author.
It's in no small part thanks to the data aggregation platform I founded in 2016 and built, and it still grows and it's out there servicing over 2,000 companies. But whatever your technology stack, as long as you're deploying it, as long as you're aware of what's coming, what's needed, and what's changing, that is in fact what makes the difference between AI replacing you or you staying in the conversation. It's being of value. It's being a trusted, qualified consultant, advisor, intermediary, broker, and then bringing that value, communicating that value across whatever channel is appropriate. And that AI has a long way to go through to get to where we are, but it is a great sidekick. I'll give you that much. It is now a sidekick to what I do daily, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I'm still fact checking. And look, Inland has more than one technology award of its own. Right? You guys, yeah.
Right.
So if you're not, 10 years ago, we've all said if you're not using technology, you wouldn't be here. And I think when the MLS came out and Realtor.com came out, they said realtors won't exist anymore. Well, they still do. Look, we're still here. There's just some things you need that human element for. And thanks to the world of cybercrime, that human element will continue to be around because you need real people interacting to do real things.
Hey, Andreas, what we really said when we launched Realtor.com was what you hear people say today. And we were saying it in 1995 through the National Association of Realtors and the Realtors Information Network. Technology won't replace realtors. Realtors using technology will replace realtors who don't use it. Right. So we were saying that 30 years ago, and people are still saying it today.
Well, now it's the AI line. AI won't replace you. A realtor using it will.
Well, getting together, Andreas, is so important. I know NAR asked me to come speak at the C5 Global Summit. That's the commercial real estate global summit. It's going to be in South Florida, September 17th, 18th, and 19th. And I'm going to be speaking on the 18th about the 1031. But getting together and having that, people talking, and you go to these seminars, and one of the best places to be able to network is in the hallways, and that's still part of the human condition. There's no AI that's going to overcome that personal relationship that people create. But like you said, it's just another tool that you could have in your toolbox, and embrace all these tools. But that hard work that somebody has, that personal relationship, going to NAR providing these opportunities for people to get together. I'm still a big believer in coming into work and to be able to talk to colleagues, and it's just, there's a camaraderie that can't be done. I mean, this is a great opportunity because we're all spread out, but having that togetherness is a good thing too.
Look, I feel like we're in the room, candidly. I mean, we've been around long enough, talked long enough. We've all been in the rooms with each other doing different things, different projects. There is no replacement for being together, but this is a nice Band-Aid shortcut, if you will, or an alternative until we're together again. But again, chatbots. I recently filed an insurance claim. I told the person flat out, I won't use your app. I'm not going to use anything that I don't know, that I'm not worth it talking to a real person, because real people are how things get done, in my humble opinion, and in many humble opinions. Mind you, that process probably took 10 times longer because I didn't use the app, but I feel better about the whole thing. And brokers will still be there, investors, lenders. I mean, everyone on this call. Are you meeting less now in person than you were pre-COVID? Or are people craving interaction because now there's so much being thrown at them digitally?
Oh, actually, I'm meeting more with people, probably not more than pre-pandemic, but about the same level. And some weeks are very intense. Like this week, Tuesday and Thursday, I was running from event to event to event. 3 on Tuesday and 3 today, including this one. So,
well, Darren, you're out there protecting the world, or at least helping police it after the fact. Are companies gathering, or are they now more remote? Or do they want to stay remote?
I think that people are more remote. I think that there's also been there is a mental health crisis, and I know that COVID did impact a lot of students. I mean, I had a reception for an event not so long ago, and one of my students came and uh, just left when they saw a group of people because they hadn't been, you know, around other people, and it was a very
Social anxiety. They
yes,
couldn't handle
yes,
the
yes.
group.
Yes, so there is that, and I can tell you down where I work, downtown Manhattan, is that there are a lot of, and as well as, you know, around Central Park, there's a lot of businesses that have been turned into apartment blocks now because people just haven't moved back to work. So that's a reality. There's a glut of
Office
apartments.
that has to be converted. Yep.
Yeah, there's a real problem in New York City, especially Manhattan, with a glut of apartments now, and a lot of these I've just been looking like at Zillow, and it seems like there are apartments that have dropped from like 1.5 million to maybe 600,000, and they're not able to sell them because people are looking at them and saying, why is the monthly HOA fees like 6,000 for a $600,000 apartment? So there's issues like that, but you know, I am very positive about AI, just for the record. And you know, I think all the experts have said that it will eliminate certain positions for sure, but it will also create more positions than it will eliminate in the long run. I think there's certain things that just need to be worked out in terms of intellectual property and who owns the data, and who's getting their fair share in terms of royalties or maintaining their intellectual property. I know the SEC are concerned in terms of big businesses and institutional investors, you know, having a few seconds ahead of the average investor. How do you keep that level playing field where, you know, grandma or somebody investing in a stock has the ability to make a good decision? You know, they'll never have as good a decision maker as institutional investors. They'll always have the jump, but maybe AI gives them an even better advantage with making decisions. And you look at that across other industries, and if you have the best AI tools, is that going to, you know, make even a more unfair playing field?
You're talking about actionable intel, right?
Yes,
So
yes,
information that you can act on ahead of others.
yes,
The
yeah,
reason brokers exist, because we have information so our clients can act on it ahead of others. Shameless plug in my industry, but I mean, New York and other cities have some struggles, but overall, nationwide, I mean, look, we're doing relatively well considering what we've been through. Connecticut prices are up, retail is thriving, and you know, we're moving.
Office is in trouble though. Office is in trouble.
Office has trouble. It had trouble before. I mean, things had to change. You had a generational shift on top of COVID. You had a technology shift. We don't need file rooms. Didn't need them before COVID. Don't need them now. Machines have gotten smaller. It has been exacerbated by COVID. No, there is no denying that. But I've got 92% occupancy in our offices in Shelton. There's a reason. People will gather where there's a reason to gather, where the amenities are right, where the offices are right, where the company cultures are there. When there's excess, there's excess.
Andreas, I'll tell you, so inland, you know, thank God we have, you know, Mr. Goodwin, God rest his soul, and all these other leaders who constantly evaluate and, you know, where's market going. And so at one time in one of our REITs, we own the AT&T building in downtown St. Louis. It's a 40-year-old building now, and you know, it's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And we sold it, you know, years ago. But just recently, this building in downtown St. Louis, it was sold in 2006 for $205 million. It recently sold, for, you ready for this, a 98% plunge to $3.6 million in downtown St. Louis.
Right.
So.
What was the vacancy today or recently as opposed to when you bought it?
Well, I mean, obviously it was a great deal when we bought it, and but we knew, because of our really brilliant, you know, the leaders, they knew to get out of office when they got out of it at the right time. But this is this is a serious thing for people to have to just hand keys back to the bank when things like this happen. But now it's going to be repurposed into, people are going to make it into apartments, but it's not an easy process.
It's the opposite of pain. There's pain, but that pain means somebody's going to capitalize, and there will be continued movement.
They will.
That's
have you seen anything like that in regards to the amount of loss and value? I mean, you've been through these downturns in your life. What do you think?
California, it always goes up.
No, I think you're right, Dan. I mean, office is in a bad place right now. Depends on the city. It's location, right? But there are buildings that are selling for 10, 20 cents on the dollar. Of course, if you can buy something for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, you can spend the money that's required to repurpose it. So you're seeing that capital accumulate to be able to do those things. But there's no doubt in my mind that there are issues right now in office space. There are issues with banks. There are things that people aren't seeing with regard to the economy, and it's not all roses, but at the same time, where there are threats, there are opportunities. And Andreas is right. Some people will pay and some people will pick up the slack on the other end. But there's hard times coming for some folks, and there's good times coming for others.
Absolutely. And those with the actionable intel, whether the AI gives it to us or the CPACE financing provides a way for us to capitalize on it. Either way, and I go back to Landgate. I mean, you've got farm owners who have no idea how much their land might be worth in solar payments, and there's technology that will tell them that. And they may not even be considering it. That today's the day that even though they've been farming for 5 generations, that property might be better suited as a solar farm. There's change coming. Who's going to pay for that? And then if they put that solar farm in, do they then sell that and go into a DST? Do they sell that lease? Because there's so many opportunities if you understand what's happening, if you have a handle on the rules and regulations. There's too much for me to have a handle on all of it. That's why I surround myself with smart people like everyone on this call. So thank you to each of you for the call and for your help in growing this show. Going back to Dan's earlier plug on the show itself, it wouldn't be the show it is today without each of you and without our audience. So thank you to everyone on the show, everyone too. And I can't believe we're at the top of the hour.
And like everything else we've talked about on this and other programs in the past, it's all about the relationships and how well, we interact with one another. And so this has been a great group interacting well together. And as was said at one of the panel discussions this morning that I was a part of, it's so important to build the foundations and to make sure that not only you have a plan, but you have the documents to support the plan, and you make the relationships and nurture those relationships along the way, so that when it is time to ask for something, you will be given it, and very readily. And so, whether it's a financing deal, whether it's looking for a particular piece of real estate, whether it's, just finding the appropriate people to have on a panel like this, I think, it's all about the relationships. And we've lost Andreas.
Speaking of relationships, I guess we made him mad.
Oh, no. But he always wants to get in with parting thoughts. So if you were to leave with one parting thought today, Darren, what would yours be?
Just verify who you're talking to. It's very easy to again, for people to fall for these scams. Anybody can. I mean, the CISO of any major company can just call people up and talk to them and verify the old-fashioned way. So, we rely on everything electronic today, but if you actually pick up the phone or you meet with people in person, we can avoid a lot of these scams. So that's my parting thought.
Very good. And Dan?
My parting thought is it is an honor to be a part of all this with you. everyone here and to see the growth of this wonderful show. And I appreciate the growth and the leadership of all of you. And it's an honor to be part of this and to be with Andreas again. Andreas, you're back.
I am, believe it or not, what timing, huh? Thank everyone, and then off go the lights. So the entire block is without power.
Oh,
So
no.
back to actionable intel and the like. Without the tools or the utility, nothing happens. But here I am now on my handheld computer that, while it only took 68 kilobytes to land on the moon, this thing has gigabytes, right? Darren, you can fact check me on that. But to our audience, to my fellow co-hosts, this show is the one-stop shop for all things across the industry, together, talking, understanding. It's a candid conversation. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to my fellow co-hosts. Thank you to the industry that I love working in and will continue working in, because the opposite of opportunity and pain is ongoing. Let's help the industry move forward as each of you do in your respective spaces and continue on. I'm looking forward to seeing everybody next month properly as we end here. Thank you, Mr. Mendoza, for all you do. And thank you to our listeners. Let's lead out. Assuming everyone spoke, am I jumping in ahead of anybody?
Wait, I can't believe you haven't said anything about my car wash picture.
Oh, wait. No, that, well, because I can't see the car wash, but I forgot. Thank you. Speaking of people getting back together, because it is in fact a benchmark for this show, is the car wash busier today than it was pre-COVID?
I'm glad you asked. May is the 31-day month. I love 31-day months. And yesterday we got our car wash owner paychecks. Remember, we have owned this car wash since 1979, and we have more people utilizing the car wash today than we've had in a long time. And part of that is because the neighborhood is growing in density. And so as the area grows in density, we get more business. Higher density is great for car wash owners as long as people continue to own automobiles.
Which they will. That's not changing, assumably. But so your neighborhood is growing in density. So is it fair to say that that your neighborhood not only has been through growth, maturity, decline, and rebirth as a car wash, because you literally showed up when nothing was there, but you are now back on the second growth, or maybe even the third growth cycle, because it is in fact cyclical.
We've seen it. You know, real estate is cyclical, and we've owned this long enough to see it go through cycle to where it was a middle class area, to where it was a blighted area, to where it started to come back to where it is now. It's actually desirable, and people want to live in walkable neighborhoods, and they still own cars. And so, yeah, we've seen it all in this particular part of San Diego. And I want to add something to Anna Maria, what you said, and you'll love this, Andreas. People, it's about relationships. What I've always said is contacts create contracts. Contacts create contracts, right? It's contact with people that creates opportunity. It's contacts that create contracts, and you need that to stay in business.
Yep. And your network is your net worth. Go ahead, Anna Maria.
And I have two final things to add. As always, I like to end with the future is green. And it will be greener next month when we speak, because I'll have all the news from the Pace Nation conference to share with everyone. Aside from that, next month, the first Thursday of the month is 4th of July. So do we need to make an announcement to our audience as to when we'll be meeting again?
I don't know. We did meet last first of the month, July, but it was not on 4th of July. That will be forthcoming. It'll be a surprise. We may miss it. It depends on how patriotic this group is, and we're all very patriotic. I think that's a fair shake. That being said, Mr. Mendoza may have a surprise on the production side to highlight all the things we've done and how far we've come. It may just be the highlight reel. We don't know. It's going to be a surprise. Tune in next month, first Thursday of the month, every month, for the CRECo.ai Real Estate Roundtable with such an incredible group of hosts. Also, speaking of events, I would be remiss if I didn't say it. CRETech coming up in New York, whether the offices are empty or they become apartments or not. Sustainability, innovation, take advantage, use our discount code. when registering. Come see us there. We'll talk everything green. We'll talk everything tech, automotion, everything real estate. From when and founded Michael Beckerman's incredible host of this show, now in London as well, the largest gathering of real estate professionals, innovators, and the money funding it all. So proud to be a partner there. Proud to invite you to join us, to be there with us. Also go see Dan at C5, as we pointed out. We're here every month. You can see Saul quite often in San Diego, Anna Maria if you're traveling in the Chicagoland area, and Darren Hayes on NBC, ABC out there protecting us every day and all days across the globe. Darren, did you say something and I missed it while I was just going
to say big congratulations to Dan Wagner again on your appointment. So well done.
Oh, thank you very much. It's an honor. You're the best.
Yes. Mr. Mendoza, will you lead us out?
Thanks for tuning in to the Real Estate Roundtable, powered by CRECo.ai, your source for the latest in real estate and technology. For past episodes, sector interviews, and more great content, follow us on all social media and YouTube at CRECollaborative. You can also find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. Please like, subscribe, and share. It really does help. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you at the next Real Estate Roundtable.